Do you believe it was poor judgment to give 12 separate political contributions to Democrat senators while your nomination was pending?
Senator, I'm a citizen who just wanted to participate in the Democratic process.
Do you think it's poor judgment to cut checks to senators who are voting on your nomination while it's pending? No other nominee that we can find has ever done that. Do you think it was poor judgment?
Relatively small donations, no, I don't.
It was over $1,000, $32,000 over your life.
Well, that's over my life.
Well, over $1,000 while your nomination was pending. All right.
But not to one person.
No. They were to a dozen senators, to a dozen different senators, including senators who've been critical of your nomination and senators who have not. You managed to cover the waterboard of Democrats running.
Washington insiders may try to defend controversial nominees, but Senator Ted Cruz came prepared to challenge one of President Biden's most heavily criticized FCC picks, Gigi Sohn. During a Senate Commerce Committee hearing, Cruz pressed Sohn over the controversies surrounding her nomination and highlighted why her confirmation process had become so unusual. After facing repeated scrutiny, Sohn returned for an extraordinary third confirmation hearing. Let's go straight to the explosive exchange.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Sohn, this is your third hearing. That is highly unusual. One of the reasons that you've had three hearings, is that in the first hearing, you went through the entire hearing without disclosing the sweetheart settlement concerning lowcast. And the entire purpose of the second hearing was when that came to light. You actively misled Ranking Member Wicker when he asked you in writing about the $32 million settlement. You did not correct the record that it was in fact only 2% of that amount, $700,000. You also disclosed at that second hearing that you never notified the White House of this sweetheart deal, even though you signed it literally the day after they announced their intention to nominate you. My question is this: do you think that your failure to disclose the secret deal to this committee and your failure to disclose it to the White House, do you think that reflected poor judgment, yes or no?
No, I answered Senator Wicker's question honestly, okay, and on advice of counsel.
No, you don't think it was poor judgment?
No, I do not, because I was bound by the confidentiality agreement of the settlement.
With respect, no, you were not. The confidentiality agreement, Section 6.0, prohibited you from communicating with the media or the press. The last I checked, the United States Senate is not the media or the press. You had an obligation to answer this body accurately, and you did not. I would note the White House is not the media or the press. And you told this committee you didn't inform the president of it either. Let me move on. You don't think it was poor judgment to mislead this committee or to mislead the president who was nominating you. Let me ask you a second question.
Senator, I don't agree that I misled this committee, so I would like to make that.
The record is, I believe, abundantly clear. And in fact, I will be sending out my cross-examination from the last hearing where you repeatedly mislead this committee in that hearing. And in fact, we'll go ahead and actually put this up. I'll note, I asked, did you disclose to the committee that agreement? I did. Did you disclose the agreement to the committee? I did. Hold on a second. Did you disclose to this committee? Yes or no? I did. You disclosed the $700,000 secret settlement? No. So 3 times you say I did, and then, oh, no. You did not. You misled this committee, and you also misled the White House. Let me ask you secondly, the 15 months that your nomination has been pending, you've made not 1, not 2, not 3. You've made 12 separate political contributions to senators running for office. I've been in the Senate 10 years. I have never seen a nominee make contributions to senators while your nomination is pending. I've never seen that once. I had my staff search the records. If we could find anyone in the Trump administration who had done that, my staff was unable to find that. You've been a significant political donor over the years, giving over $32,000. You gave. Do you believe it was poor judgment to give 12 separate political contributions to Democrat senators while your nomination was pending?
Senator, I'm a citizen who just wanted to participate in the Democratic process.
Do you think it's poor judgment to cut checks to senators who are voting on your nomination while it's pending? No other nominee that we can find has ever done that. Do you think it was poor judgment?
Relatively small donations, no, I don't.
It was over $1,000, $32,000 over your life.
Well, that's over my life.
Well, over $1,000 while your nomination was pending. All right.
But not to one person.
They were to a dozen senators, to a dozen different senators, including senators who've been critical of your nomination and senators who have not. You managed to cover the waterboard of Democrats running for office. All right, let's turn to another issue, which is you have been an active supporter of a left-wing activist group called Fight for the Future. And I will say the record of Fight for the Future is really quite remarkable because they have blasted members of this committee on both sides of the aisle. Here's a billboard Fight for the Future put up in West Virginia in 2017 attacking Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat. The billboard essentially accuses Joe Manchin of being corrupt. Ms. Sohn, do you believe Joe Manchin is corrupt?
Absolutely not.
You don't? Okay, well, that's interesting. I will point out, in 2017, Fight for the Future also erected similar billboards accusing Senator Tester and Senator Peters of being corrupt, both of whom are members of this committee. I can't recall a nominee who's actively supported efforts to blast members of this committee to run billboards.
Senator, may I address that, please?
You may.
When you say actively, I give every single organization with whom I work on net neutrality $100 contributions at the end of the year.
Ms. Sohn, with
doesn't mean I agree with their tactics.
The time is limited, and yes, it does, because after they put up the billboards attacking Manchin, Tester, and Peters as corrupt, afterwards, you sent this tweet. Just made my end-of-year donation to this organization, urging others to do it after they did that. And because the time is limited, I'll note this group also blasted Marsha Blackburn, Dan Sullivan, and Roger Wicker, and astonishingly called for Chairwoman Cantwell to be fired. And after each of those, to be removed from as chairwoman of this committee, after each of those, you supported it. And in fact, I want to turn to the final point, the Roger Wicker one, where this group protested and said, you're buying a senator, and you said you don't support their tactics. I'm going to point out, you tweeted, well done, to this radical group who blasted the former ranking member of this committee and saying that his donors were trying to buy a senator. If they were trying to buy a senator, were you trying to buy senators when you made a dozen contributions?
Senator, I did not know, number one, that was about Senator Wicker. Number two, I was criticizing
it
Senator
Roger Wicker right there.
Okay, well,
that is literally what you retweeted was his name.
That's fine, but I was actually criticizing the donors and not criticizing the senator.
Senator Markey.
Progressive activists often call for greater transparency in government, but Senator Ted Cruz came armed with documents and a series of pointed questions for FCC nominee Gigi Sohn. And during the Senate Commerce Committee hearing, Cruz focused on a disputed settlement involving the streaming service lowcast. He questioned Sohn about why the committee and the White House had not been given what he argued was the full picture of the agreement. Cruz pointed to written correspondence in which Sohn had been asked about a reported $32 million settlement. According to Cruz, the actual amount received was only about $700,000, roughly 2% of that figure. He then pressed Sohn on whether failing to clarify that distinction demonstrated poor judgment. Sohn responded that a confidentiality agreement prevented her from discussing certain details. But Cruz challenged that explanation, arguing that the agreement restricted disclosure to the media and press, not to the United States Senate or the President. He then presented multiple clips in which Sohn had previously said she disclosed the matter, arguing that her statements were inconsistent with the record. And Cruz wasn't finished. He turned the questioning toward campaign contributions made while Sohn's nomination was still pending. Cruz highlighted a dozen contributions to Democratic senators and questioned whether those donations created an appearance of political influence. I've been in the Senate 10 years, Cruz argued. I have never seen a nominee make contributions to senators while your nomination is pending. Sohn defended her actions, but Cruz continued pressing the issue. Then came another major point of contention, Sohn's financial support for the progressive advocacy organization Fight for the Future. Cruz displayed examples of the group's activism against Democratic senators, including Joe Manchin, John Tester, and Gary Peters. He then pointed to Sohn's social media activity, encouraging donations to the organization. Cruz argued that this raised serious questions about whether a prospective FCC commissioner could remain impartial while supporting an organization that had publicly attacked members of the very committee considering her nomination. By the end of the exchange, Cruz had assembled a series of allegations involving disclosure, campaign contributions, and political affiliations, and used them to argue that Sohn's record raised serious concerns about her suitability for public office. Whether you agree with Cruz's interpretation or not, the hearing showed just how contentious Sohn's confirmation had become. What do you think? Did Cruz uncover legitimate ethical concerns, or did he push the allegations too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button, and share this video if you want to see more breakdowns of the biggest political battles in Washington. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.